Hello, everybody. Welcome to your round 39 hot takes for the EFL Championship, where a late slip up at Leeds means it's all change up at the top. And Sheffield United are our leaders with 7 games to go in the playoff race. Middlesbrough were the big winners this past round, and maybe Norwich are still clinging on in there with an outside chance after a late goal. Down at the bottom, massive wins for Stoke, and Luton are applying some upward pressure on everybody down in the relegation fight. Get involved down there in the comments, especially if you were at a round 39 EFL Championship game yesterday or on Friday night. And Friday night is where we will start because, and this is difficult, we'll go individually on the 3 teams in the title race, but we really need to start grouping them because unless you're a fan of one of these 3 teams, this is absolutely riveting as a neutral, especially after the change around we have seen this past round. So Friday night, we covered it on the watch along. We were back after the international break. Sheffield United playing Coventry, arguably their second most difficult fixture remaining, and we all know the elephant in the room, round 44, Burnley versus Sheffield United. But the Blades going in, little bit of pressure on them. They've got to tick this one off. And watch back on the watch along footage. They were really good, Sheffield United. Really clinical. Got the job done. Finishing on point. Game management has been outstanding from Sheffield United all season, hasn't it? And you start to look at it right now. They're top of the table, 11 wins in 14. And I think the stat that's getting me a little bit is that is the 26th win of the season for the Blades, which is 3 more than Leeds and 4 more than Burnley. And if you're looking for the best side in the division, is it the one that wins the most games? Who knows? You tell me. So it was gauntlet down from Sheffield United on Friday night, which then meant Leeds and Burnley needing to respond. Obviously, the Blades had gone top at that point, and it was Leeds at home to Swansea, Burnley at home to Bristol City. Burnley get their noses in front fairly early in the day and see that one out 1-0. We'll come to Burnley in just a second because they are doing their business jolly efficiently still. All the drama was at Leeds at Elland Road. And it was all over the place, this game against Swansea. Ended up 2-2. We had Leeds scoring after about 30 seconds with Aronson. We had a missed penalty, or should I say a very well saved penalty by Illan Meslier, the never out of the conversation Leeds keeper. More from him in a minute because, again, my God, he's dropped a corner for the equalising goal. Who put that in? Was it Darling? I can't remember. I think it was Darling, wasn't it? And then Willie Gnonto, who we were wondering whether this injury he'd sustained was going to keep him out for the running. He then looks to have won the game for Leeds right late in the day. You thought right late in the day. Vipotnik, 96, and it is through the keeper again. And all eyes on the Leeds keeper, Meslier. And, when you hear the air being sucked out of the stadium there, it wasn't a great Leeds performance from what I understand. But at this point of the season, just win. But when that equaliser goes in, you go, oh, that was painful. Unless you're a Sheffield United fan, because when that goes in, you're going, we are top of the table. And if you're a Burnley fan as well, you're like, right, hello. Level on points now, Leeds and Burnley. Okay, the goal difference is heavily in Leeds' favour, but it has really tightened up at the top. So Leeds now have dropped points in 4 of the last 5 games. It's very slippy. And remember, this follows those what we thought were massively decisive back-to-back comeback wins, late wins against Sunderland and Sheffield United. And since those wins, where Leeds were just hot favourites to go ahead and win the title, a 7-point swing in Sheffield United's favour and a 5-point swing in Burnley's favour. Again, for us, the neutral, brilliant because it's all within, they're all within 2 points. To be fair, they were all within, what was it, 80, 78 going in with Leeds and Sheffield United tied up. And it's now Sheffield United 83, Leeds 81, Burnley 81. So in some ways, nothing has changed because it's 2 points between the three of them. In some ways, everything has changed. Let me just really quickly talk about Illan Meslier, because you know me, it's not my style to... I think a lot of people are very unkind and very angry, yelling at football players who are trying their hardest not to throw the ball in their own net or let the ball go through their hands. But it's been such a problem for Leeds, that goalkeeper position. They've gone with Meslier. They could have made a change. They still could make a change. I'm not sure they would do that with 7 rounds remaining. But yeah, that problem rearing its ugly, ugly head. And after a really good penalty save as well. And I think the big worry here, if you are a Leeds fan, is you're looking at everybody coming back from the break. And by far the flattest performance there is from Leeds. And the trend down is from Leeds. I know the Leeds fans are going to be panicking. Would I be panicking? Not necessarily. We'll talk about the 3-game week coming up. But obviously, the concerns are very, very real with where those trends are pointing. And yeah, I suppose the biggest problem for Leeds is that their 2 rivals are very good. And Burnley did it again. 26 games undefeated. I mean, we kind of flagged it at every point of this. I always do a big flag when it gets to 23, and that's half a season. I think that's terribly impressive. But this undefeated streak is just magnificent from Burnley, isn't it? And it is going and going. And they beat Bristol City 1-0. Lovely free kick from Fleming. I thought Parker spoke well in the post-match interview, saying, well, it's a bit strange because they thrashed Sheffield Wednesday, was it a few weeks ago, and everything went in. And they played really well here against Bristol City and kind of nothing went in. And they relying on a brilliant free kick in the postage stamp flying in the top corner from Fleming. But you just got to win by hook or by crook. And you sometimes have lots of chances and score one of them, and you sometimes not have many chances and you score all of them. So there you go, 28 clean sheets for Trafford and Esteve and Egan Riley and the team at the back there. Burnley, they're still outsiders, aren't they? When you look that they've got fewer points, obviously, than Sheffield United. They've got a worse goal difference than Leeds. And I do think the fixtures are still the toughest, but they ain't going anywhere, Burnley. And if you watched my 1 to 24 looking at the end of the season, I'd looked at the round 44 head-to-head between Burnley and Sheffield United as, are Leeds going to be away by then and Sheffield United, and it's not going to particularly matter because of the fixtures. But, I mean, look at the way it is right now. If that head-to-head were happening in the next round, you'd almost be a bit terrified if you're a Sheffield United fan, because you're like, well, hang on. If this is the case and it's 2 points and Leeds obviously would be playing elsewhere, Stoke or something when that head-to-head's going on, your doomsday scenario is that even if you're Sheffield United and you played beautifully all season, you've got a 2-point gap, that could be the week they both go above you, and then there's only 2 rounds remaining after that. So who knows what the significance of that head-to-head is going to be. But yeah, just absolutely riveting. We were talking a lot on the watch-along with 8 to play. Obviously, there's now 7 to play, and we were saying, right, is it going to be 4 wins or is it going to be 5 wins that's going to be enough? Because you start to say, this is ridiculous, because 5 wins and they're all in, sort of mid-90 points. And obviously, Sheffield United and Burnley have stuck one of those wins on the board already, and we're all careering towards 90 points. Get your thoughts in on all of that, on, excellent, consistent performance from Burnley and the undefeated streak going, and, they've now closed up on Leeds. Sketchy form from Leeds and a swing back in the other two's favour, and just excellent work from Sheffield United on Friday night. The 3-game week, guys. Sheffield United go Oxford away, Millwall home, Plymouth away. Leeds go Luton away, Middlesbrough away, Preston home. Burnley go Coventry away, Derby away, Norwich at home. We're looking at everything now, and even, you look at the absolute minutiae, the fact that Leeds and Burnley go away, home, and that Sheffield United come home in the middle of the round to play against Millwall. Will that make a difference? I don't know. All depends on how the first round goes, doesn't it? And then you also look at it, and I look at it from a Burnley point of view, and I'm like, have they got the hardest game in a couple of those? In the Coventry away, is that the hardest one? And then maybe Norwich at home in that round 42. My God. Again, I will reiterate, this is riveting, fascinating, entertaining. If you're me and you're neutral, I get it's bloody terrifying if you support one of those 3 teams. Get in the comments on a fabulous title race that swung back. Now Sheffield United top with Leeds and Burnley tied on 81 points behind them. Right, let's move on to the playoffs. Sorry, I spoke for ages on the title race, but as you can see, I've got huge enthusiasm for it. Middlesbrough were the big winners in the playoff race. We'll talk about Sunderland because they're in their little land on their own, guaranteed to kind of finish in 4th place. But this was lovely for Middlesbrough, wasn't it? Because if you look above them, Coventry and West Brom lost. They have overtaken Bristol City. Watford lost as well. I know they're 4 points back, and now Borough are just 3 goal difference outside the playoffs, tied with West Brom. Let's talk quickly about Sunderland. And I'd be really pleased if I were a Sunderland fan because they've beaten Millwall 1-0. And the worry for Sunderland, in my humble opinion, is that you're kind of guaranteed the playoff place and the intensity drops off and you go into the playoffs a bit undercooked and the intensity's not there and you lose your semi-final and there goes the season. But the thing I like about this is it was very tournament-y, wasn't it? The way they beat Millwall, they got a clean sheet. They scored from a set piece as well. That's how playoff and tournament games are won. First clean sheet in 7 as well for the Black Cats. And 10 points in 5. So we're back at a 2-point per game rate. And let's do some quick maths. So we could add on 14. We're up to 86. I'm sorry. Even if the other load are 7, 8, 9 points ahead of you, you finish the season with 86 points. That's damn good. You're a damn good side. And I think if you're a Sunderland fan, just switch your brain between league football and tournament football. Tournament football is all about defence. It's all about clean sheets. It's all about fine margins. It's all about not losing, isn't it? In league football, it's about winning. You can win 7 out of 10 games and gamble a little bit. You can't do that in tournament football in playoff semi-finals. Sunderland fans will know all about the playoffs over the years as well, won't they? So I'm pleased for Sunderland there. Coventry obviously lost to Sheffield United on Friday night. I've already kind of spoken about that. We'll see if they can bounce back against Burnley. So, I don't know, maybe more slippage coming from Coventry. We'll talk about West Brom Norwich because West Brom appear next. And this is a strange one. Norwich won 1-0. Sargent in the 92nd minute. And when Norwich have won this season, it's been very much, they've rolled over teams and scored lots of goals and made loads of chances and been very open. But my understanding, and getting the comments, Norwich fans, West Brom fans, is that this was a bit smash and grabby and that West Brom had plenty in the game, probably should have been on the board, going into that stoppage time at the end of the game. And then Sargent is Sargent. He's just so good, isn't he? 9 in 11 since he returned to the starting lineup. Quickly on Norwich, it's a 5-point gap. But unfortunately, my barometer for an average team, Norwich have got that 13, 13, 13 on the wins, draw, losses. And I know we talked about low tides and playoff this season, but that isn't a record of a team that's going to get in the playoffs. And Norwich fans will know all too well about what it takes to be up at the top of the Championship. But they're in the conversation and the results have swung their way, haven't they? 5 points off it. West Brom, I can see 1 win in 5 on that recent form table. What I will say is there does seem to be a turn in the football and they are in games and playing a different way under Mowbray than they were under Corberon, but they don't want to mess this up. And I know Mowbray said if they play like that in the majority of their games, they'll finish, quote, where they want to, which is obviously up in the playoffs, preferably in 5th place if you're a West Brom fan. That's the kind of height of it, given Sunderland are 12 points ahead. But fixtures are a bit tricky, aren't they? There's quite a few head-to-heads with teams sort of in the second quartile there of the table. So they'll earn it if they get there. And let's talk about Middlesbrough now then, because they're tied up on points. And I mean, look, Middlesbrough are jolly inconsistent, aren't they? But here they are, tied with 6th place. So that says everything you need to know about the low tide we've been experiencing this season, and the fact that probably 69, 70, 71 points might get you in the playoffs for the end of this season. And again, talk about inconsistency. They were behind, weren't they? Went under to a long throw against Oxford, and I heard them murmuring in the crowd when that went in, and the Borough fans are probably, here we go again. It feels a bit of a razor, doesn't it, for Michael Carrick? It feels if they go behind in games, everyone's a little bit like, I'm fed up of this. Come on, Borough. And if they take the lead, it's like, okay, here we go. Probably scored 2 or 3 goals now, but first goal's vital as ever. Iheanacho, I mean, my God, he scores the exact same chance that Plaqueta had for Oxford in the first half. It really could have gone Oxford's way, this, and this has implications at the bottom as well. As you'll know, my thoughts on Oxford are precarious there, even though they've got quite a nice number of points on the board. We'll get to relegation, but yeah, Iheanacho and Borges, lovely goals. And they've got it in them, haven't they, to play around the box and cut through teams. Yes, I know it's Oxford and it's a side that's down towards the bottom. And Borough, frankly, are going to have to beat sides further up. And of course, by virtue of the fact the playoffs are played off against sides between 3rd and 6th, they're going to have to beat far better sides than that. But they're in the conversation. I'm not totally seeing it, if I can be completely honest. I'm sure Borough fans probably agree with me. You just don't see them as consistent, but they're there and they're in it. And look, 7 games to go. Can you win 4 games if you're Borough? That takes you to 69. Couple of draws takes you to 71. I don't know, especially with Coventry going to Burnley next and West Brom. The door's open, isn't it? The door's absolutely open. I still maintain Coventry will take one of those places, because after this hard run where they've done Sunderland, Sheffield United and now Burnley, I think they might start winning again. But 6th place is open, and Borough, could they take it? You tell me. What else did we have going on here? Blackburn lost. We'll talk about that in a minute. Sheffield Wednesday drew. We can talk about that in terms of Cardiff down at the bottom of the table. Millwall obviously going under at Sunderland. So yeah, all really about Middlesbrough. And I probably should flag up more that Bristol City were at Burnley. And yeah, Bristol City got some interesting fixtures coming up. Right, let's move on to relegation, where those 3 teams up there had very, very big wins. And certainly Luton is the headline there, winning over at Hull. Let's talk about Pompey first. Pompey moved on to 45 points. Now, I know last season was different and Birmingham went down with 50. That was a bit of a freak, wasn't it? When you look at the data, often 45 to survive gets you safe in the Championship, and Pompey are there with 7 games to play. They probably add on another win and another draw in the last 7 to take them to 49, and you'd think they're more than capable of it. And really pleased for Pompey, really pleased for John Massinio. 10 wins in 14 at home. I think, I don't know how far that goes back in fact, into the season. It probably goes back into the autumn, doesn't it? I didn't check, to be honest, sorry. But either way, it illustrates they're brilliant at home. We said this about them. They kept the clean sheet, which was vital, and I think they moved Ogilvie into centre-back, and they had to make do and mend at the back, haven't they? And they've got goals, and when you see Bishop turning it around the corner and Murphy sticking it in, we've said about that front four. Cheech has come in as well, hasn't he? Ritchie's in there. This is in the absence of Lang, obviously. They got goals in there, Pompey, and they've been very, very good, and they look like they're going to survive. 45 is a brilliant buffer. I think all those teams tied up there on 45. We've got QPR, Swansea and Pompey all on 45. They're all going to want one more win as soon as possible. Just to, you never know. You go on a losing streak now. You never know if you're going into the last 3 games and you can still be caught. You do not want that. Well done, Pompey. And well done, Stoke. Watch back on the 1 to 24s. I said I thought Stoke would survive based on the fact that their fixtures are front-loaded and they have Sheffield United and Leeds in the last 4. And then they don't want to go into a head-to-head away at Derby in round 46 needing something. Stoke are going to want it done by then. That was my idea, that they would get it done before then. And this kind of plays into it, this win against QPR, doesn't it? Back-to-back home wins for Stoke. That's key, isn't it? That stadium can be good for Stoke. 2 wins in the last 3. Fantastic. We talk about the tide rising at the bottom. All of you people that tell me you don't want to play teams in the bottom 6 this time of the season, you're going to be saying, hey, I told you so. Look at all that green down at the bottom of the form table there. Excellent win from Stoke. Chamadou get a goal and an assist in this one. Manhurst, who was good at the start of the season, got a goal as well. Luton at home is the next home game for Stoke, where they do seem to be leveraging things as we go into the 3-game week. Great wins for Stoke and Pompey. Oxford slide below the both of those. I mean, they were already behind Pompey, but they were tied on points. And I did get some blowback on my, Oxford kind of to be struggling in this one, but there is every chance that Oxford can get caught up. They're not on a good streak here. It's only that win against Watford before the break kind of propping them up, and they were in the lead now, and that Luton win that we're going to talk about has put the pressure on Oxford. They are still 4 points above the drop, but that's with Derby improving and with a game in hand and an improving Luton side as well. Are they prone? I don't know. You tell me. Oxford fans. So Hull are 20th. And I've got to admit, I had this the other way round. Hull 0, Luton 1. I thought Hull were going to win this game. And this was going to be a big problem for Luton, because that was basically, you talk about the swing. So Hull and Luton are obviously now 3 points apart. If Hull had won that game, they would have been on 44 and Luton had been on 35. It would have been 9 points apart. And I thought Hull would win, and that would be Hull ticking off Luton, essentially. Luton aren't going to catch Hull 9 points over 7 games. But it went the other way around. I think even the most staunch Luton fan would say, bit of a lucky goal, wasn't it? But man, you got to go there. You got to fight. If you're going to take a funny, freakish own goal, keep that damn clean sheet and win the game. It doesn't matter how the ball goes in the net, as long as it goes in that net and stays out of the other one when you're in the fight in a head-to-head. And this is encouraging for Luton. My idea was that Luton were going to struggle. They were going to get too far behind and go into the last 3 or 4 games, and even if they were winning 2 or 3 of them, that it wasn't going to be enough. But they have closed up with this win. And so encouraging, 10 points in 5. If we were talking about Sunderland, weren't we, doing 10 points in 5 up at the top of the table? 10 points in 5, anywhere, anytime in the season, you should be happy with that. Especially if you're in position 23 with 7 games to go. Also, back-to-back clean sheets, back-to-back away wins. They couldn't have done any more to start off this run, and you do feel some momentum building. I didn't think it would. Again, I'll admit, I thought this was going to be a problem Hull away for Luton, but they've gone there and they've got the victory. And we now have Luton 38. Derby played Preston on midweek, it was Tuesday, is it? At time of recording, we don't know what Preston have done in the FA Cup, how much of a drain that's going to be on North End. Just to quickly mention Cardiff, who drew 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday. I think the Cardiff fans are going to see this as a problem, as an opportunity missed on the basis. Yeah, they had a lot of the game, didn't they? Only 2 shots on target for Sheffield Wednesday. It's a home game. They had the lead. It's a nice looking XG as well for Cardiff. There's a lot of things you'd be like, right, okay, win that game. Take these opportunities when they come. And that's a home game gone, so there'll only be 3 remaining for Cardiff. And, of course, now if Derby were to be able to beat Preston in midweek, Cardiff would enter the bottom 3. And we'd have 40, 41, 41, 42, 42. Oh, goodness me, who'd be in a relegation battle there? And we talked about, when we haven't talked about Plymouth. Plymouth went to Watford and drew 0-0. So the gap remains at 6 points. Okay, Watford had chances and Plymouth hung on in there. But my problem with Plymouth is the home games are difficult. And if Plymouth were going to do it, you'd have them, say, winning 3 of the last 4 home games to take them to mid-40s. To probably need a couple of away wins on top of that as well to push the envelope. So, yeah, Plymouth still look very, very prone to me. Guys, get your thoughts in on the latest round in the Championship, round 39. Up at the top, Leeds slipping, Sheffield United top. In the playoff race, Middlesbrough, goal difference away from being in there. And down at the bottom, giant win for Luton to raise the tide, upward pressure there. Big wins as well for Pompey and Stoke. Opportunities missed for Oxford and Cardiff, who both had the lead in their games. There you go. Brilliant this, isn't it? A fascinating time of the season. And we go 3-game week next week, rounds 40, 41 and 42. A massive week coming up. So keep with the channel for all of this. I think we've got Premier League predictions in the can with Mikey for tomorrow. And then Sam Parkin will be back. We'll probably record on Tuesday a Championship check-in podcast and some more predictions for round 40 coming up. Plenty going on. I'll be over on Matt SB's channel talking some League One as well, which is hotting up. And he'll be over on my channel at the back end of the week. Loads going on. Hit subscribe, like, but most importantly, get in the comments. Get the debate going. Those are your hot takes for Championship round 39.